everybody, it's me, Maurice Brown of the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour, and we have a very special guest on the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour. This is the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour Actors Edition, so I have a very good friend, actor friend on the show, someone I had an opportunity to be cast into a film with in 2016, Love Different, along with Tommy Ford. Awesome film, awesome experience for me. And she has graced us today to be a part of the show. So we're going to get away from comedy a little bit, and just talk about some solid acting, which will be a real treat. Jenn is an actress, a model, a motivational speaker, author. She's had her career break occur for her in the film Frost Nixon in 2008, portraying President Richard Nixon's daughter, Tricia Nixon, a film by Ron Howard, and she played opposite Frank Langella in that film. In 2010, her brand officially launched, starring as the female protagonist in wholesome and inspirational films, including mystery drama Doonby, opposite John Schneider. I believe John was Luke Duke in The Dukes of Hazzard. Love John Schneider, a very, very, very fun person. Robert Davey and Ernie Hudson, and Ernie Hudson was in the first Ghostbusters film. A comedy drama, God's Country, opposite Daniel Hugh Kelly. Children's storybook turned movie, My Daddy is in Heaven, with Corbin Burnson, who's also in her upcoming film, The Farmer and the Belle. And of course, as I mentioned, we did the faith-based, top-grossing, by the way, faith-based film Love Different in 2016, which that was a real treat. And then also Jenn was in the faith-based film with Kevin Sorbo, which was called Forgiven. And I want to say that was in 2019. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it was 20. But Jenn will be on a second. She can straighten me out. But anyway, so she could also be seen in her second Oscar-nominated film, Alone Yet Not Alone, and that was done in 2014. A very powerful film. I highly suggest you take a look at that. And as I said, she's going to be starring alongside her husband, Jim Chandler, in the upcoming film this year of 2020 called The Farmer and the Belle, Saving Santaland. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the very, very talented Jenn Gotzon Chandler.
Hey!
Hey, Jenn.
Maurice,
how are you?
To be here with you. You've got your own comedy hour, buddy. This is fabulous.
Yes. Well, I try to make room for actor edition shows of the comedy hour because I know so many actors as well that I'm friends with, and I definitely want to create a platform for that part of what I do, and for, of course, my friends to promote whatever they're doing. And you got a lot of stuff going on, Jenn. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh my goodness, that list that you went through. Wow. I think the coolest thing at this moment right now is Forgiven has just come out. It's on Showtime, and we shot it a couple of years ago, but it's a really good movie, and you can find it on all the different platforms as well if you don't have Showtime on demand on Dish. But Maurice, I got a knock joke for you.
Okay.
Since this is the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour, I got no comedy in me. But our 8-year-old niece told us this, and I'm bringing it to you, my friend. Okay, knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow.
Woo! Do you get it? Get it?
Okay.
Interrupting cow moo. It interrupts you. It's pretty pathetic.
Not bad,
I got one more for you. I got a popsicle stick joke. This is it. How do you make a strawberry shake?
How do you make a strawberry shake, Jenn?
You take it to a scary movie.
Okay.
And that's it, Maurice. That's all.
You are officially Jenn now on the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour.
That's all I got, buddies. That's all I got for all of your friends out there watching.
You're official now, Jenn. It's all good. You are in the club. Hey, Jenn, you are in the club.
What you do, Maurice, as a stand-up comic is something I can never do. I have such admiration for you, buddy. Such admiration.
Hey, thank you, Jen. I appreciate it. I was telling your husband Jim off camera that I did my first virtual Zoom stand-up last week,
Ah, how
and
did it go?
it was like, because you got all these faces looking. It's kind of like the webinar I did for Shine, but I was doing a routine, and so it was the laughs were kind of delayed, and I was telling my wife, before I got on, I started, she was sitting here with me, and I was going, oh, babe, it's been 3 months. Hopefully this will go well, get stretching and everything. But, I did pretty good. It was just a matter of getting used to the platform, Hopefully, Jen, we won't have to do this much longer. What have you been doing during this pandemic situation, entertainment wise?
Oh my gosh, actually a lot. We're delivering a feature film that will come out this Christmas season. It'll probably come out in like around Thanksgiving. And also a bracelet, a devotional book, and a children's book that is all merchandise that goes along with the Farmer and the Belle, and that's the brand. And so that's been one course line, delivering a film. And when you're doing that, you are in the confines of your own home.
Yes.
So that's been really good. And the second thing I've been doing, right as COVID began, I was praying, and God put on my heart to pour into the community of actors and teach acting classes. And so we've been teaching 6-week intervals of acting classes starting since April. And they've been advanced. And right now our class is focused on impediments and all sorts of creating dynamic characters. It's been really cool. And then the third thing, we've been growing a baby.
Awesome. Great news. Great
Going
news.
into our 8th month of pregnancy. And this weekend, my mom just showered me with the most beautiful baby shower that I will remember for the rest of my life. And then my acting class, Inspiring Actors, that's the name of the brand. Susan Shear and I are the producers of it. They also threw me a surprise baby shower virtually. And I was literally so surprised. I had no idea what was going on. And it was so special. And they got me a stroller, a jogging stroller. And so now every time I look at that jogging stroller, I'll be thinking of them. And it's going to be boop, 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 boop.
Jen, how far in are you? Are you at the 8-month stage?
We are going on to 8 months. We're due September 19th. Okay. And so if you do the math, we're in July, we're due September, and we're going into our 8th month. I think the math is wrong somewhere, but our baby is the size of romaine lettuce. So every week they give you a vegetable to compare the size of your child. And he's rolling right now on the Maurice Brown comedy show. He's rolling in my belly like a rotisserie chicken. I feel him. Hi, baby James. Hi, I don't know if you could see him.
Hey, baby Jane, welcome to the Maurice Brown Comedy Hour. This is a true first for you, buddy. So it's going to be a girl.
It's a boy.
A boy. Okay, good. Welcome to the show. Hey, Jen. So, JC, in reference to your joke, JC Kaiser, he chimed in. He said, "Interrupting Cal has been my favorite joke for 20 years. I tell it all the time. Love it."
JC coming right at you from the farm, buddy. We're not at the farm now. We're in New York City area. But my husband's family is from the farm. I love
is that right? Wow. That's pretty cool. So Jen, before we, because I want to talk more about Farmer and the Belle, but in reference to the film Forgiven, because I was doing some research on it, and I thought that it had been released a few years ago, but this will be the first time that it's been released. Okay.
It was supposed to release theatrical in March, this year, but we had a little thing called a pandemic that broke out, and so theaters 86'd all movies as they shut down.
Yes, yeah.
And now Showtime bought it, and
Okay.
we're excited about that. That's really, really cool. It's a powerful story about faith,
Yeah.
forgiveness. It's really hits your heart about forgiveness. When we first filmed it, our director Kevin Otto wanted it to be like a Christian Die Hard, but when I was watching it, it was just not a Christian Die Hard. It would be a mild version of a Christian Die Hard. So it's a good, fun. It's a good suspense movie.
Well,
it's a good watch.
Well, I got to check it out. I was really well. Thanks for clearing that up for me, because I didn't understand the release part of it. But Kevin Sorbo is a terrific actor.
Yeah.
He is a great credit and addition to the faith-based community, as well as yourself and Cameron Arnett. And of course, we've got the Kendrick brothers, the Irwin brothers. I watched I Still Believe the other day with my son. That was an amazingly powerful film. And I feel like, and of course, I want to get into these questions regarding the faith-based film industry a little bit later in the convo, but I'm so excited about what the faith-based film industry is doing and where it can go. Cameron Arnett, I want to say this. I'm on a roll, Jen. I got to ask you this. I had Cameron Arnett on the show a couple of weeks ago, and he said, Maurice, what you have to understand is that the budgets for faith-based films are so far short of the budgets for Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's like, I think they did, I Still Believe was on I don't know, maybe a $5 to $6, $7 million budget. And then someone told me the other day that, for example, Iron Man or the Avengers last film, that was $1 billion budget.
Yeah.
I mean, so you just look at that part of it. But he was talking about the series, The Chosen. Have you watched any of that?
Yeah, a little bit of it. What a great, beautiful, epic wonderfulness.
They created $10 million on GoFundMe, and they just dove in, and it is a quality work. But
and that's a feat that it's just beautiful to be able to see what God did and poured in from the community into that fund to be able to make that beautiful epic series. It's awesome.
And Jen, speaking of faith-based films, tell us a little bit about how your faith has actually shaped your acting career. And when was the moment you knew that the faith-based film industry would be your path?
Oh, well, first question. One thing that I learned at the 168 Hour Film Festival, it's a film festival in California, global, and you get a scripture verse. You have a week, which is 168 hours, to write a 10-minute short based on that verse from the Bible. And then you have a week to produce, edit, and deliver the film.
Okay.
During that time, I was in my early 20s. God taught me something about divine inspiration versus creativity.
Okay.
We are all given creativity, every one of us. It's a gift. And some of us have different, maybe have more creativity than another. But when we pray and we ask God to intercede, I personally experience as if there's a flow from the Lord coming through my vessel out on screen, as an artist, as an actor, or if I'm writing, or if I'm on a modeling campaign, or if I'm a public speaker, all these different facets of life that God has me on. And in that space of that flow, I look at that as divine inspiration. And so that's something that has motivated and been a platform for my faith. During that process, I learned about having a prayer team. And so I have a private Facebook group that is a prayer team. So every day when I show up on set, I'll send out prayer requests for production, for the art, for anyone who might be struggling on set that is just going through a rough time. And
Yeah.
that prayer team will pray and intercede, will literally pray for those prayers. And we see fruit happen on set all the time, as if God just hears those prayers and answers them. And so that's something that has been very powerful in my foundation. Another thing is, right before the camera, right before the director yells action, I've gotten myself into a place of surrender. So I have the character developed and prepped, my emotional perspective, my emotional relationship, my objective, the whole world of what's going on inside the creative being to tell the story. And right before the director yells action, I will pray and I say, Lord, I just surrender myself into your presence. You lead, you move, you guide. And I literally experience impulses throughout the production or throughout the scene, in the moment, telling me what to do, telling me to have this moment, telling me to have this reaction. And it has been so effective. In the movie Dune, shot in 2010, really cool suspense thriller that you mentioned with John Schneider and Ernie Hudson. I experienced that all throughout the film, and I just look on screen and there's an end scene where my character has an alcoholic explosion and get so angry where I have a guitar and I smash his guitar.
Yeah.
And in that whole scene, about 5 minutes, I literally felt God prompting me moment by moment by moment, where it was just felt like John Schneider goes, Jenn, it felt like you kept hitting home runs out to left field, right field. And it was just so much fun to be able to play.
Yeah.
So that would be a little bit long-winded answer to your question. And
Great answer. Great answer.
And God just placed it on my heart to work in faith-based movies, because my brand is to inspire and impact people through redemptive movies. So that movie could be on Lifetime, that could be on Hallmark, that can be anywhere, as long as it has those bones to it. And as we know in the faith-based world, those bones are really consistent through that storyline.
Yes, they are. So when was the moment you knew, Jenn? Because I know that when you did Frost Nixon in 2008, you had, come onto the scene, and I'm not sure where your faith was at that point, but I know that since that time, you have focused on the faith-based film industry. And what was the moment for you in your acting career where you knew, okay, this is my path?
After I did Frost Nixon, I was direct offered the lead role in Dune.
Okay.
And that year I filmed 5 feature films as one of the main characters. And they all fell underneath that umbrella of redemption. And then filmmakers started to see the films that were out on the market, and then I would receive direct offers for their films. And then I would just go to film festivals and communities and wanted to pour in and serve. And it just became the body. So Maurice, it wasn't a aha moment. It was more of a gradual fruit from serving the community however I could.
Yes, and I've always found that interesting, because and I think it's awesome that you've just kind of like just devoted your career to faith-based films. Cameron Arnett is another. He has a very interesting story how he started in Hollywood and his faith was challenged, and he could not, do the role that they asked him to do because of his faith, and he had to kind of do a restart, because he was on his way, Jenn, and then he had to restart because of his faith. And look what God's doing for him now in the faith-based film industry. And I had a chance to play, of course, as I said, in Love Different with You, which was a comedy. and that was a very good comedy. And I interestingly enough, I got to play a very serious role, which was I was probably the only non-funny person in the film, but it was a lot of fun to do. What was it like for you making that transition from acting to a comedic role?
Well, that's a great question, Maurice. You remember how I was telling you earlier a little bit that I pray and have a prayer group? I
Yeah.
had that prayer group praying for creative, comedic timing for me. That was
Okay.
one of the constant prayers. And when I read the script that Anthony Hackett so fabulously wrote and directed and produced, Anthony Hackett,
Yes.
millions of hugs and kisses. That man is a rock star.
He
Uh,
really is. He
oh,
really is.
he's so gifted. He's so stinking talented.
He
He
is. He is.
he sent me the script, and my response as Jenn playing the white girl was identical to what he wrote on paper. And when we got to set, it was literally me just trying to be as vulnerable and transparent and me as possible. And then a casting director, Stephen DeAngelis, that I met through Actors Models Town for Christ, AMTC, at the Shine event in Orlando.
Yeah.
He really blew encouragement into me after seeing me host the award show. And between the prayers and his encouragement allowed me to find that physical abandonment, that freedom to just play. And so it was my first comedic role that I ever did. And Anthony and I and the entire team had so much fun. And Maurice, you came in and did a phenomenal job as the pastor, a phenomenal touching scene, a scene that really just brings the heart of how we love differently.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
And you know, Jen, and that leads me into my next question, because the film was so focused on the differences between races, and there were a lot of jokes made about it, which made the movie really, really great. Is that we were able to laugh about, the differences. And again, your role, it was really good. It was authentic. It was genuine. It was innocent, harmless, and it was just awesome. But when you think about what's happening in our country right now in relation to the social and racial climate, which has become so hot based on what has happened to George Floyd, not only in America, but the world is appalled by, what happened. As a woman of God, Jenn, what is what are your impressions on whether or not this will maybe bring about positive, effective change for our nation?
When there's so many areas that we can have conversation on, and my husband has been so focused on educating himself for every podcast that he could ever learn and grow. And then we have conversations about this topic on how do we, taking the movie's title, Love Different, how do we love? And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me is when we understand where we came from, there's a reality and a truth that white people may not have a clear understanding until this situation has occurred, which is the challenge culturally that happens inside the soul of a fellow brother or a fellow sister of African or Black. And what happens for the white person is, because we don't know, it's hard to be able to have that true sensitivity. And I think this has opened up a great conversation to recognize that Black lives matter. Then you hear all lives matter. Yes, everyone's life matters. We're all created by God, unique and beautifully and fearfully made. Everyone is created fabulously.
Yes.
But what we need to focus on is that this right now is a time for us to be able to understand the challenge that goes on a daily basis that went through generations, and that is happening right now that we have to come out of. Like Anthony shared with me when we did a little live conversation, it broke my heart. He and his wife Adana such wonderful people went into a white community for dinner after church.
Okay.
And when they walk in, Anthony shared that his mind said, they're all thinking, why are they there? Because of their skin color. And when I heard that, that's Anthony's truth. It broke my heart, because that's probably a reality that many people can identify with. And as a white person, when I connect with anyone of any race, I connect to their heart, I connect to their soul, I connect to their spirit. And when I develop that relationship, the race, the color, Asian, Hispanic, Black, you name it, it just, for some reason, just washes over that I don't even recognize physical difference. I just see the soul. Now, if someone's a jerk face, white or whatever, I see them as jerk face. So it really comes down to the character. And so those are a couple of my thoughts that from the climate that we're in right now.
Yes, and I think at the end of the day, I as an African American, the thing that I have to always remember is that my faith is first, no matter what, and understanding the gravity of everything that's going on, because you don't want to let your flesh start making decisions for you, because that's not of God. You have to be very careful about the whole concept of it. But we're in a very interesting time right now, particularly when you throw the pandemic in and all those different things. It's like God's really, really doing something, and in fact, maybe giving us all an opportunity to kind of rethink, refocus, and maybe go about our particular careers maybe in a better way. I can say this to you as a comedian that I have had a chance, because I was telling you, my wife's here and I'm like, oh babe, oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm gonna do on this one, and I dove in and I did really well, and it gave me the opportunity as a comic. And I know you don't know this, but as a comic, you're always going out doing shows, and it takes away your ability to create new material.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? So I've had an opportunity to kind of like write more and expand my material. You know what I mean, Jen? It's like, and it's become really interesting how it's starting to build into such a more interesting library of jokes. And if this didn't happen, if this didn't happen, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to slow down, breathe. Okay. I had a comedian tell me the other day, she said, oh my gosh, you know what? It's almost kind of a relief, because even though you want to be out there performing, it's like there's this feeling of, we need to slow down. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we're getting so caught up in what we're doing, we're forgetting that God has to go. And we don't consciously, get in front of God, but we do get in front of God. We don't realize it, and we get stressed out, and we get hyper, and and we start worrying about things, and then so this freeze on society right now has actually given me an opportunity to kind of like just get some fresh air and just relax and calm down and just kind of look at my career in a different way. It's kind of, I think it's making my future looks a lot better from where I've been sitting in the last 3 months. So we just have to remember that Jen, he's in control.
And do you know how hard it is to be able to live a life of surrender? It's hard. It's really hard. When I spend my time in the Bible reading, and then I will journal and I pray journal, I feel like I'm right there. And then I come into my living room and I have a dispute with my husband, and all of a sudden, all of that, like right out that, what, like what in the world just happened? And
Right.
in the Bible, it tells we're at war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, spirits of darkness. And so
That's
we
right.
have to, when we experience that frontal attack from the enemy, we've got to overcome it with God's truth and prayer and recognize what our tools are. Maurice, can I share a little bit about some of the challenges of with really trusting God and surrendering control? Can I share?
Sure, absolutely. Please do.
So with our movie, The Farmer and the Belle, we have a storyline and a mission to really impact lives, providing a biblical pathway to true beauty and love. 90% of girls, starting at age 6 until very mature, they believe 90%, Maurice, when they look in a mirror or they enter into a room, the subconscious of the brain believes, if I'm not beautiful enough, if my physical looks aren't appealing enough, I won't have enough value to be loved. So this is a lie that the woman's psyche deals with. I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm worthless. They'll see flaws, and it just is something that's real. So what we did is we worked with a whole bunch of psychologists and pastors to find a tool and a pathway to really help transform the mind. So these lies aren't going to overtake us. Okay, that's our brand. That's our mission for The Farmer and the Belle. So there's a bracelet that has been created. I'm wearing one of them. It has charms on it. And each charm shares a little bit of your value. Like this one says magnificent masterpiece. On the back it says body and soul I'm marvelously made. And getting to element of control with God, this bracelet is a part of our movie. It's a bracelet that we're going to make available. We got into a conversation with QVC. QVC is a major home shopping network. They reach 100 million households. To reach 100 million people, even if we only reach 1% of those with a message to help women and girls, was a passion and a prayer.
Yes.
So for the last this season since April, since conversation has began with QVC, I didn't know what the outcome would be. And so every day, my control of wanting, praying, please let us get on QVC to sell this bracelet took over me almost like a monster, where I had to constantly take that flesh, that desire, which we can understand if you want a job promotion, if you want something to change in your family or in a relationship, if you're trying to have a child, or if you are looking for a loved one, a spouse, we all deal with the please. And God took me through this last 3 weeks in a place of moment by moment, surrendering, trusting, and it was bloody hard. And on last Friday, July 24th, we received an email that to me looked like a huge answer to prayer. This bracelet, here's our box. Divine Beauty is the name of this particular jewelry line for The Farmer and the Belle. This bracelet will be sold, and this is the first time I'm sharing this anywhere. So this is big news, Maurice.
Yes.
This bracelet is going to be selling on air November 17th, 2020 to their 100 million households. And I'll be going on air with a dear friend, the host, Terry Con Peck.
Oh, nice. Love it. Wow.
Terry Con. And that same day is our street release. What that means is the movie will be available in DVD on November 17th, The Farmer and the Belle, in stores everywhere. And so we have two beautiful things happening 1 week right before Thanksgiving. And I personally know this came from a place of working on surrender of that anxiety and control of my will versus God's will.
Amen. Amen. That is awesome stuff. So that's going to be in stores everywhere on DVD, everybody, on November 17th. And then also, you would be able, I would imagine, to rent the film on ChristianCinema.com, PureFlix, Amazon Prime, perhaps.
Yeah, all of your platforms where where you watch your content, it'll
Yes.
be on. Right now, our distributor, and this is another thing that I'm constantly surrendering. When you make a movie, you do not know where the outcome is going to be. We couldn't go theatrical because of COVID. Theaters are just, it's too risky to be able to
Hmm.
bring it to theaters. So right now, our movie's out at Hallmark, at Lifetime, AMC, Netflix, Freeform, Inspiration, Up TV, TNT, Country Music Station, here in America. So all of those buyers who
Nice.
buy movies
Yeah.
are reviewing this particular story. It's an inspirational family Christmas movie that's so fun and charming. It's got laughs and entertainment, but the
Yes.
main storyline is about discovering inner beauty. And so
Okay.
I'm again at a place surrendering, saying, God, where do you want this movie? We are working with my dear friends Craig Tubiola and Jason Noble, who worked on the Breakthrough campaign. He actually really was a huge influencer on the movie Breakthrough by 20th Century Fox.
Okay.
They're going to bring it out to all the different churches across the country. So if you have a church community and you're interested in bringing a movie that has a really powerful storyline, that will be available to you through a church license. We're doing an early bird discount at $99 for a church license for an entire year. Includes a 5-part Bible study, one for the women and one for the teens, and the movie.
Well, I'm going to see if my church would be interested. I mean, since I'm their resident actor, what have you, and the fact that we've done a film together, I'm going to look into that for you, Jenn, because that would be awesome.
That's awesome. I high five you.
So, so we definitely have to do that. It's really crazy, Jenn, what's going on with the pandemic, because do you have any idea when, and of course nobody has an idea. I can't, I'll be so happy when we can go back out to the theaters and all of that stuff. But at least you're able to continue to work. Do you have any future projects coming up?
Yeah, there's a handful of them, but our main project is going to be our little baby. We're gonna birth our child. We're gonna have fun with our little one, and then we're going to see how we're able to take the Farmer and the Belle and do public appearances and go on tour, sharing with church communities and conferences about the message. So that looks like what the end of this year is going to look like for us. And then I've got a couple movies that are in development that I'm attached to, and we'll learn how to balance baby life and movie life.
Well, give me a shout out, Jenn, if you need any help.
You got it, buddy. You got it.
Yes, indeed. Jenn, is there anything? I'm going to have Leland Klassen on later on today. You guys had a chance to do a film called Extraordinary. What was it like working with Leland?
Actually, I did not work on Extraordinary with Leland.
Oh my gosh,
that's okay.
I don't know how I got that. I don't know how I got that one. I don't know why I thought you were with Leland in Extraordinary. I don't know how I got that. I'm doing too much stuff, Jenn.
That's okay.
Hey, Jenn, but you're in a ton of films, and you were in Forgiven with Kevin Sorbo. What was it like working with Kevin?
Oh, he's a good friend. And so it was fun to be able to play on set. The climactic scene at the end, there are a lot of choreography with guns coming in, the police coming in. There's almost a shootout. And so it was fun to be able to work on an action bit with Kevin. It was fun. And we shot this before God's Not Dead came out. And I remember Kevin was like, I'm getting all these interviews for a movie that it comes out in Easter. And then God's Not Dead became PureFlix's flagship, which was awesome to see.
Yeah, it was awesome to see. Jen, I don't know how I got you confused with Leland Clausen, but you are you do know Leland, I would imagine.
We know each other in passing, but we've never met physically or worked on anything.
He is a fabulous stand-up comedian from Canada, and he's done quite a few films with Mark Christopher Lawrence, who's also a comic. They did well. He's got a film called Sleeper Agent
Yes.
that came out, I guess, last week. So,
Yeah,
funny guy, really funny guy.
It's so good. My very close friend Gigi and Stacy are both in Station Agent, or not Station Agent, Sleeper Agent.
Sleeper Agent, yes, Gigi's in that. Yeah,
Yeah, it's great. I read the
gonna,
script before they went into production, and
okay.
It's so good.
Well, she mentioned you in an interview she was doing in promotion of the film with Leland. They did an interview recently with Laura May, who's with Shine. I believe she's with Shine.
She's
And
with Christian
oh,
casting.
right,
Laura
okay.
May's with. Oh,
And
amazing! She's one of our dearest friends and associate producer on The Farmer and the Belle.
yes, and so Gigi spoke very highly of you. You are a very well-respected member of the entertainment community with Shine and a lot of folks in the faith-based community. Have you ever had a chance, Jenn, to speak with the Kendrick brothers or the Irwin brothers? Because I mean, you would be you would be great in one of those films.
Oh, I would. That's one of the areas that I pray that God would open up an opportunity that I would be able to work with them on one of their masterpieces from a ministry aspect.
Yes.
That's a prayer. I have never had that opportunity. When the Irwin brothers were just starting out in 2010, they did second unit on Alone Yet Not Alone. And that movie was then nominated for 1 Oscar. And that's where the Irwin brothers and I got to meet.
Okay.
And then Alex Kendrick and I met one time at the New York Media Initiative in New York City.
Okay.
Last summer, when we were looking for an editor for our film, The Farmer and the Belle, Saving Santaland, and he suggested his editor, Bill Ebel. And so we reached out to Bill, and Bill's timing, he was available, and he did an amazing, immaculate, wonderful job editing our little engine that could, Fishes and Loaves, inspirational family movie into what it is today. And I'm so grateful for Alex to introduce us to Bill.
Jenn, I am going to make it a point to sit down and watch Alone, Yet Not Alone. I watched a trailer, and I was just blown away by the power just from the trailer alone, Jenn. And I'm like, oh my gosh! I don't know how that one got by me. I didn't realize that you were in that film. I probably did know, and I just subconsciously forgot. But as I did my research about what you've been doing and what you've done, I saw that was Oscar nominated in 2014, and I went, oh my gosh, that was what? Now was that a faith-based project, or was it secular?
Definitely faith-based.
Okay.
George Escobar was one of the directors that came on board, and we had a moment where my character sacrifices herself to save the children, and as a result, she has to die a very brutal death, and it's based on a true story.
Yes.
And I'll always remember George coming on over right before we filmed, and we prayed together. And just like I shared in the beginning of this program, I literally felt this power from God coming down and just emitting out of me during that particular scene. It's really cool. If anyone watches it, you can see the glow of God's love shining through in the midst of the flames, real flames that were scary.
Well, that was a test. It was absolutely, but it's a real thing. Those type of things happen, and I guess what I want to ask you, Jenn, do you see, other than the fact that we've got to get a bigger budget for faith-based films, that's the biggest thing, but
Yeah.
God's got that worked out. God's going to
Maurice,
work that out.
majority of budgets for faith-based film, if you're a viewer and you're watching a faith-based movie and you see the quality seems lower,
Yeah.
the talent, you don't have your big star names. Now the Kendrick brothers, the Irwin brothers, and they have created into a new echelon where they are filming for several $1 million, which is low in Hollywood scheme, but in the Christian world, that's a high budget. Most faith-based films shoot for less than 150,000.
Wow,
I've been on
amazing.
so many movies.
Yeah.
So many movies that their budget was around 30,000. And our film, we raised our budget to be SAG ultra low budget, which is 250. But we had so many people volunteer their time and effort because we only had a couple fishes and a couple loaves, and God multiplied that through Starla Christian, our amazing co-producer, our production designer, who just crafted the entire visual. And we had all these donations that came in from the city of Chickamauga for Christmas decorations. The community rallied around us, and then Wes Llewellyn, our director, and our DP Casper Scouron just took all of these creative tools and created it in. And now when people watch the movie in the industry, they think the film is around 2 million because of the art that you see on screen from each and every person's participation. And before we jumped online, Maurice, my husband and I had a little conversation that had a lot of passion under it about credits, because we want to make sure every person who worked on this project over 3.5 years is being honored and loved and credited. And so it's important to be able to honor your community.
Oh no, it is 100%. My wife and I, like I said, we watched it, and it looked like it was a very well produced film. It definitely looked like it was a decent budget that went into producing it. It's very well done. I just think that we just have to trust God. Because do you think that secular audiences are starting to become more intrigued by faith-based films?
I think secular audiences, we see proven numbers on Hallmark. Hallmark is not a Christian-driven content, but they're wholesome and family. And from the Nielsen report, we're seeing 4.2 million people tuning in. Do you know how many 4.2 million would translate into theaters? That would be a crazy strong box office. This is
would be
one night for Hallmark movies. So it's very clear statistically that the need is there for wholesome filmmaking. Lifetime saw Christmas movies also as a huge opportunity to bring wholesome Christmas romance to screen. And their Nielsen reports, I don't have the stats off the top of my head, but the audience has proven across middle America that people are very, very much interested. Now, when you have a movie that is a sermon directed film, your family wholesome group all of a sudden shrinks to a smaller niche demographic of people who are interested in films that have a church message to it. So every filmmaker, I believe, has a different destiny by God. Some filmmakers are called by God to make movies that have sermons that really edify and grow the church community. We as filmmakers are called to make movies that have an inspirational message, that have faith roots in the bones, but you're not evangelizing. You're sharing truth through the script, through the movie, through entertainment first. So you're sitting back, having fun, eating your popcorn, laughing, having moments that touch you. And then at the end of the movie, you walk away with that revelation and that aha moment and those pearls of wisdom that seep in. That's the calling that God has on my life as an actor personally and as a producer.
How did you like acting opposite your husband? And let's see, you were in Farmer in the Belle with your husband. You also did Saving Grace, Jenn?
Saving Faith that Lionsgate distributed. and Sinking Sand we met on, and we were also in The Colors of Emily. And I enjoy very much working with my husband. He's a phenomenal actor. He's been on Stranger Things, Lodge 49. Every time he goes up for an audition, he normally his stats are very high that he gets booked. He's so talented. So it's fun to be working with him creatively as artists. But our processes are very different. I enter very much into my imaginative life, and he enters in from a very logical perspective. So we bring two different processes to screen, but in the moment, you don't know. You just see chemistry because of the love that we have for each other.
And yes. So, and you guys did a great job in Farmer and Belle, and you actually had a scene in that film that was from your actual marriage.
That's right.
So that was.
We in our end credits, we have B-roll that actually is from our real wedding. We had 8 cameras, a drone. One of my bridesmaids works for Billy Graham Ministries, and so she does documentaries for them. She had a camera in line. And so in our end credits, because the movie The Farmer and the Belle is inspired by many real events in our personal life, many real events that you see on screen. So we then used our wedding. And if the movie does well this fall, we will be making a sequel, and it'll probably be The Farmer and the Belle, focused on a storyline with a baby. And so we're talking about filming when we are in the beginning stages of our child. Yeah, so that'll be probably something we add in the end credits of that, if that movie comes to fruition.
Well, you were talking about Hallmark, and I noticed that Cameron, correct me on the name, I think it's Cameron Bure.
Cameron, Candace Cameron.
Candace Cameron, that's it. And she's actually related to Kirk Cameron, I believe. Is that correct? Yeah,
they're brother and sister. And their other sibling is Bridget. And Bridget was a part of our movie. She's also one of the contestants in the film. And then Candace's daughter, Natasha Bure, plays a phenomenal role in the movie. She just does a great job.
And what part of the film was she in, her daughter?
Yeah, so she plays Belle. Belle is the protagonist, the main character that we follow. She plays her assistant. And the storyline follows Grammy, played by Sandra Lafferty from Hunger Games, gives a little girl, young Belle, a bracelet telling her that true beauty is on the inside.
Right.
Belle goes to Santa Land. It's a Christmas festival on the farm country, and she falls in a pig slot pen. And in falling in with the pigs, she loses her bracelet, forgets about it. She's now a very successful model, and she's at the end of her career. And her agent, played by Robert Amaya, that you may know as the Snake King from Courageous.
Yeah, I know Robert.
He tells her that she is aging out, and the only jobs she can get are adult diaper commercials as a mid-30-year-old. And so Belle's identity is wrapped around her image, and she remembers this bracelet that her Grammy gave her. And so she decides to go back to farm country at Christmas to find this bracelet. In doing so, she falls in love with her childhood pen pal, Josh Carpenter, who now owns Santa Land, and that's who's played by my husband, Jim. And he starts showing her that true beauty is when we serve others, and that each one of us is a magnificent masterpiece, and that our body and soul is marvelously made. And Belle learns this gift of serving others, like Jesus comes to love one another, done not in a preachy way, but just all in entertainment. And she ends up saving Santa Land. She brings in her guests, John Schneider to come and do a concert, Becca Shea to come do a concert. Corbin Burnson has a kissing booth. She brings in her celebrity makeup artist from China, who's actually truly a celebrity makeup artist, to come do makeup. And she raises money to help save Santa Land. And then Delilah, the radio personality, shares the heart of what the story is through a very powerful voiceover. Well, Natasha Bure Belle's assistant comes into farm country in a limo to help rescue Belle home because of a conflict that has happened that you'll have to watch the movie to find out. And in doing so, she learns that true beauty and real love come from within.
Jenn, we have destroyed this hour. We're almost at the very end of it. I've had a great time talking with you. I wanted to ask you this before we wrap things up. During the week of May 15th, 2011, which I'm sure you remember like yesterday, you were number 2 on IMDb's star meter. How did that impact your life, Jenn, at that moment?
Yeah, that was when Doonby, you can see Doonby on Amazon right now,
Yeah.
Was at Cannes Film Festival. And my publicist, Scotty Dugan, did a huge PR campaign. And we had so much traffic to IMDb that Chris Helmworth was number 1 and I was number 2 a week before Pirates of the Caribbean came out with Johnny Depp. And I was like, and how did it impact my career? Well, it just opened up opportunities to meet some industry professionals in Hollywood. And I took general meetings with casting directors and was introduced to them and agencies and filmmakers. And it opened up great opportunity there. Unfortunately, Maurice, there's a sad side to the story. Okay. IMDb didn't understand how this happened, and they thought it was manipulated, and so they blacklisted me, or I don't know, it's probably not blacklisted, but they literally physically took me out of that spot, which I was under 1,000 consistently since Frost Nixon on my star meter, and then threw me into the 20,000s. And so that's kind of now where I range, because IMDb thought there was some sort of fishy business going on behind the scenes. And there's nothing that I can do. When a movie comes out and there's a spike, then my IMDb will drop. But other than that, I'm kind of stuck based on their algorithmic placement. And so going from consistently under 1,000 since Frost Nixon, which was in 2008, to now being in that world, it's also affected some of my bookings. Some of the independent filmmakers have looked at that and they said my IMDb is not small, like not low enough, that they were concerned of bringing me on to their film. So it has affected me more in the negative, just to be truthful, than in the positive. But it's way cool to be like number 2. That's cray.
Well, you know what, Jenn? It's more spiritual than anything. It's we are God's children, and we bring about a certain intimidation factor to the world unintentionally, and it's like, so they become frightened of us because we're children of the King, and so we can't. They can't allow us to take over their quote unquote playground. So they do these little things like that. What happened to you, to try to keep us out? But the light is too bright. It can't snuff us out. It can't stop us. You're doing awesome in the faith-based industry. A lot of people know who you are. A lot of people respect you, and you're going a long way. And I mean, the future, I can't wait to see what the future brings to your career, because you're gonna do some great things for Christ, Jenn. So keep doing what you're doing. God bless you.
I appreciate that, Maurice. Right now, my heart is being able to get our devotional book, Divine Beauty, Becoming Beautiful, based on God's Truth, written by Michelle Cox, who does the Hallmark series. This is in the movie, The Farmer and the Belle. Getting our bracelet into millions and millions of people's hands to help them with their value. And then for the children, Beautiful Mabel reaches out to the 6-year-old and above, written by Mike Norwalkie, the co-creator of VeggieTales. Illustrations beautifully by Sarah Jo Floyd. We want to get this book out to be able to minister to the kiddos, helping them understand that kindness and serving others is where our focus needs to be. And all 3 of these are in the film. that we're excited that will come out this Thanksgiving to entertain everyone with value. So that's what my prayer is, to be used by God and tour across the country and the globe sharing that message.
Awesome stuff, Jenn. I tell you, we've been talking to the amazing, talented actress Jenn Gotzon Chandler, who's going to be in the film The Farmer and the Belle, which will be released November 17th on DVD and stores everywhere. And as you can see, streaming at the bottom, just go to thefarmerandthebelle.net for more information. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the amazing Jenn Gotzon Chandler.
Maurice, thank you for having me here. And if anybody wants freebies or promos, we have a newsletter on that website, and you could just pop your email in. I will only be the one emailing you to keep you in the loop. Maurice, you are so much fun.
Thank you, Jenn. God bless you. I appreciate you being on the show. It's an honor for me, and may the peace of Christ be with you and your gym and your newborn that's on the way. God bless you, Jenn, and hopefully we'll talk soon. All right, we'll see you, buddy. See you, Jenn.